All right. Okay. So again, as I said, I'm Sara Ford, and my co-host is Angela Burnett, who you see there in the blue shirt. So we want to help you reach your destination. So as we were planning and we were working on this, we kind of ended up with a cheesy theme of construction zone. And like construction zones are never always aren't always easy to figure out. And so we wanted to kind of help you with some signs. And so basically this is where we are. And so how do you reach your destination? Remember that a lot of times your destination changes, and that's okay. But if you want to get from point A to point B, you have to follow the signs, whether that's a green light or a red light, or a construction zone, or a pedestrian crossing, or whatever it might be. You have to follow the signs. So you have a goal. What does that mean, and how do you get to your destination? We're going to utilize Scentsy's action plan and consultant worksheet, which you can't see probably me holding up, but it is a really great tool that I've taught on several times that people don't even realize is there. And so we're going to break it down for you in just a little bit of a different scenario or different look. Okay, Angela, are you going to talk about this?
Yeah. Okay, so when you think about your business and you think about where you want to be, like your end goal, you have to know where you want to go. You can't just have a business and no direction, I guess. So you have to pick a place that you're trying to go, and then we work towards getting there. So let's see. Yes, okay. The first thing that we need to do is figure out where you're at with your business right now. So these are some questions to ask yourself to figure out where you are now, and then we will work to fill the gap in to where you want to be. So the big goal is where you want to be, and then these are the questions to ask yourself as to where you are now, so that we can figure out what we need to do in the middle to get to your end goal. So that's where you break down the big goals into smaller, more attainable things. So once you figure out where you're at and where you want to be, then we can move forward with reaching your goals.
I think it's really important to know at this point to being honest with yourself. I think that is one of the main ingredients or main steps to kind of getting there. It's kind of like when you go take a driver's test. If we're going to relate it back to driving, when you go take a driver's test, you either fail or you pass. And so you either study or you don't. It's kind of how that goes. And so if you don't study, then you fail. And so I think not being honest with yourself kind of is the same thing as that. If I'm not honest about where I'm at, like if I'm thinking about how many parties I'm doing a month, well, okay, well, I have I host my own like 3 times a month. Well, that's not the kind of parties we're talking about. We're talking about parties where you have new people showing up, new people in your face, new people that you can connect with. How much time are you devoting? Well, I'm not talking about just the 10 minutes that you're on your phone scrolling Facebook and comment and like something. I'm talking, how much time are you individually devoting to your business, intentionally working toward your goals? And that could look like any of the things that we're going to talk about in your action plan and what that means and what that looks like. Because at this point, you might not even know what that means, so that's really important. And so I just wanted to mention that.
Yes, so good. These are just some definitions if you're not sure the terminology that you're going to see in the next few slides. If you're new to Scentsy and you're not sure, like downline is not somebody you personally sponsored, but somebody just in your group that one of your team members sponsored. Things like that. So you can screenshot this and revert back to it if you need to.
Yeah, I'll hold it here for just a second so that everybody can take a picture of it if they need to, or screenshot it if they're on their phones.
All right. I think this one was you, Sarah. Yes.
Okay. So, sorry guys.
Jen, go Jen.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Sure.
Are you guys gonna, oh, I know it's recorded, so where are you, is it gonna go on YouTube, I'm assuming, or where is it going?
I may just share it to the groups and not post it on YouTube.
Okay,
It just kind of depends on if it will let me do it.
okay, I was just wondering, or if you're gonna have like just these, even just these images anywhere, somewhere where like people that didn't hop on tonight will be able to like access the information or something, because this is like, I like this,
Mhm.
I like it
Okay.
already.
Thank you.
But I was wondering where it's gonna be,
Okay.
like, so
We'll
I know
figure
where
out
it's
how to share it.
Yeah,
best way
okay.
to share
We'll
it.
give it to you the best we can.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Okay, so when it comes to the steps between where you're at and your destination, there's no straight path. So sometimes you might be a hobbyist. Sometimes you might want to be a $200 a month consultant. Maybe that is a hobby to you. Maybe you want to hit 500 a month. Or maybe you just kind of sell it as you want. Or maybe you do want to grow and become a full-time consultant. Either way, you need to know the effort that you want to put in so that you can align it with where you need to be focusing. So that way, if you know that you want to grow a team, you know that you're going to have to dedicate some time to developing leaders and being a leader yourself and knowing what that looks like and figuring that out. But there's no straight path. There's no, you either do this or you don't hit it. It's all about kind of you, and that's kind of what this is. I love it because it's a customized plan that's specific to you. The ups and downs, we have this cute little image here that says bumps. And we really liked that one because it's true. We hit bumps all the time. So determining smaller goals to build a bigger one requires a few changes. So once a small goal is achieved, it's kind of like what we talked about before, where sometimes your destination is going to change. So once you hit a small goal and it's achieved, like hitting 500 a month, or a new bigger goal can be set then after that. So if your small goal is that you want to just add one person to your team, then you know exactly where you're going to end up, and then you have to create a goal after that. Also, as you update your goals, you will find new ways to share the opportunity. Once you invest your time into your business and into what you're doing, you are going to recognize a lot of things that you didn't recognize before based on just learning about things. I had a boss one time who she told me, and I wish that she was still living. She unfortunately passed from cancer, but she told me that you have to focus on one thing. And once you start to focus on one thing, naturally you get better at other things. And so I think that's kind of how our businesses work too. But if you're focusing on increasing your sales, naturally you're probably going to start having conversations about the opportunity. So sharing means shifting your mindset from you onto others, whether it's building your team or selling. It's very important that you find what it is that's going to help other people. And that's going to help you in your steps to get to where you want to go. So the end of the construction zone is setting a SMART goal. So you're going to identify when you will be finished. And that's key to accomplishing your bigger goals. So when we talk about SMART goals, and Angel's going to talk a little bit more about this, when we talk about SMART goals, we're talking about goals that that have a measurable finish to them. So they're specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time bound. So am I supposed to talk about this one too, Angela? I think I am. Am I? I don't remember.
No, you're doing action plan.
Okay, well, you can go ahead with this then.
Okay. Yes, Bryce. Just take it in there. Okay. All right. So, in order to go from where we're at now and where we want to be, we need to fill in the gap with SMART goals. SMART goals are specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time-based. Time-based means you have to say, I want to hit director by such and such date. That makes it time-based. What we have here is an example for a lead consultant who wants to reach director. So the specific is that you need to reach director. So you need to have specific goals in order to get to the big goal. Measurable, you have to, I don't know the best way to explain measurable, I guess.
Well, you can measure it. What your measurable goal means, how can I measure it? Well, if I need my PRV to be 500, then once I hit 500, I can measure that I've made it there. If that makes sense. So it has to be something you can see and has like a definitive answer. So if you say, I want to hit director this year, I will first focus on promoting to star consultant. Then it's specific that you want to hit director. It's measurable because you want it to, it's once you hit star consultant, you've achieved it. It's attainable because that's something that you can do within a year's time. It's relevant to what you're working on, and it's time-based. You're going to hit it within a year, if that makes sense.
Yeah. And all of your small goals need to be relevant to your big goal. It's your SMART plan is majorly about cutting fluff and not doing the things that aren't going to make you money. So if your goal is to reach director by the end of this year, then you need to focus on what is stopping, what is in between you now and there. So like Sara said, promoting to star consultant is a specific and measurable goal, and you need to now break that down into what do you need to reach star consultant. And then once you get that, then you move on to another measurable and attainable time relevant goal of superstar consultant. So you break that down, you're going to say, I'm going to have 4 parties a month and I'm going to recruit 2 new team members. And that will get you high PRV, and it'll get you, like Sara said, having those conversations about joining, even if you didn't have the intention of doing that. My very first home party, I did not mention the opportunity. And then the host at the end was like, so what about joining? And I was like, oh yeah, I should have probably mentioned that maybe. So here's some info. So it's just, it happens naturally on accident sometimes. And you're like, and then all of a sudden you're growing a team. So
I
Those
think
are
the
the
other
type.
thing is when you set those SMART goals, that you want to make sure that you're setting goals that are not only going to help you achieve, but are going to help you overachieve. Because if you're entering 4 parties each month, let's say that they're $200 parties, that's $800 in PRV. But if you give, let's say you flip 2 of those consultants, then now you're only at 400 PRV, which means you're not meeting your 500 PRV goal.
Mhm.
PRV is personal retail volume for those that might not know.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really imperative that you plan for that, because we never want to take away income from future just to get it now, because that's called instant gratification. And instant gratification doesn't help us to get to our end goal.
Yeah,
So
and sometimes it stings to give up a 700 or 800 PRV
it really does.
party. It really, really, really does.
Yeah,
But
it does. But in the
your
long
next 6
run,
months down the road will make up for it big time.
take it from us. We
Yes.
know. We know what that feels like. And
Yes,
we
it's
know
hard.
with what it looks like at the end.
Yeah.
And when people tell you that, I mean, it's really true. It's really something that we feel and believe very strongly in.
It is hard though, especially when you're new, when you're like, you get your first big sales months and then you have a month where you're like, all right, I'm going to do it again. And then somebody wants to join and you flip 800 PRV. You're like, oh my God, do I really want to do that? Do I really want that? Do I really want to be a leader? Do I really want to have a team? No, I want this money is what you think. But
yeah. And in the long run, it's worth it. I will say, because I don't want anyone to feel like they don't have a choice. I mean, because it is your choice if you want to flip PRV. But you can, I mean, you can offer a kit using credit. You can leave 1 penny and they can pay $49.99 for their kit, or $48.99 instead of $59 if you want them to. So that's an option. And if and what I share and what I say, and this might be different from a lot of people, is if the PRV from those parties, this is a whole nother topic, I shouldn't probably go down this direction, but if the PRV from those parties was not obtained by them, then I wouldn't give that to them. That's something that I hear a lot. And there's a lot of reasons why you wouldn't want to do that from my perspective. Also, I feel like it's not super compliant. Okay, I don't feel like it's compliant at all, but right now they're not. I don't think that they're really doing much about that. But what happens then is that your customer information is going to a completely different consultant now. I think it could come back and really bite you in the tushy. So be careful about that. Anyways, I digress, but my point being, plan for even more success than you realize you're going to have, so that you set yourself up to know what's coming. Sorry, I'll shut up now.
Yes, but to that extent, you don't want to make your goals so far out of reach that you don't reach them. So that's, you can, if you sell $200 a month regularly, you can't just be like, next month I'm sell $2,000 a month every month and just not have a plan, because it won't work. It won't happen. It doesn't just fall in your lap. So you have to have a plan of more goals. You're going to share products, personally text 10 people a day about hosting a party. That's a goal that is achievable and attainable, that you can measure, that will get to you where to want to go. So those are the types of things. Make sure that they are attainable goals, but still a little reachy. And you got to make a plan for everything. For all the goals, there's always smaller pieces. So I think that leads into our action plan, Sarah. Yeah. You're mute. You're mute. You're mute, Sarah.
Okay, no wonder when no one was laughing at my joke. I was like, tough crowd tonight, tough crowd. Okay, so action plan. Oh my gosh, there's so much involved in this, but we talked about, let me go back a couple slides. Oh no. Hold on, sorry. Ignore that. Okay. All right, so you have a goal, blah, blah, blah. We talk about here, why does it keep doing that? That is so annoying. Okay, so we talk about here, we want to know where we are. And then we want to know where we want to be. We want to know our goal. And then we want to know what goals we need to set in order to get there. So what are you going to do? Who's going to help you? What tools and resources will you use? What skills are you going to develop to help you be more effective? What challenges and obstacles should you prepare for? So if you are like this, I'm just going to use some of the examples from before, but if you're a lead consultant and you have 4 frontline team members and you hit 500 a month, your TWV is 1,500 and your GWV is 1,500 to 2,000. In order for you to get to director, there are certain things that you're going to have to do. So what we want you to think about is, okay, I have to continue to reach 500 a month. I have to have 3 active frontline, and I have to have 2,000 TWV. Well, maybe you only have, you have 4 frontline team members, but maybe some of them, start to bump up to lead as well, and you're trying to get to star. And so 4 active frontline may not cut it trying to get to star because you need a higher number of PRV and GWV in order for you to reach that goal. So what tools and resources, are you going to use to get yourself to the next level? It might be YouTube. It might be trainings on the workstation. It might be, if you are a higher level consultant, there are certain opportunities that you have to utilize home office staff. We have trainings that we are offered that not everyone is. And so utilizing those things. And those are some of the things that you want to look at when you're setting your SMART goals. So I did a coaching call in July, and one of the things we talked about was learning more about compliance. And so one of the SMART goals was, to watch a certain number of compliance training videos in the workstation per week. So that way, when if you're struggling with a specific topic, you're saying, these are the things that I want to get better at, and this is what I'm going to do to do that. And then once you get better at compliance, then you can also, maybe even through those training videos, you'll find things that help you with recruiting. What shouldn't you do also leads to what should you do. And so that's helpful in that sense. But making sure, what it all comes back to is you have to have parties, you have to sell, and you have to recruit. But parties have always been the heart of our business, while we know that circumstances and sicknesses and things of that nature have come in our path, and we've had to divert from that. But there are still lots and lots of ways that you can do that. And YouTube is your friend. Wendy Heath Newgas, who we've had share in our group before, talked a lot about flower parties, and just something simple as sitting a flower on your desk at work and having a sign-up sheet where people can just order flowers in a certain period of time. So you have a product, you have what you need, and they can order other things, but that's like something very focused that you can do. So there are all kinds of ideas like that out there. And so if you're saying, I want to enter 4 parties orders each month, then you have to sit down and plan, how am I going to do those parties if I don't have a host? How am I going to find those hosts? And you have to find a way that you're going to have 4 parties each month that aren't just from you. And like we said, if your goal is that you want to maybe flip some of those parties, then you really need to focus on having more than just 4. And increasing the number that you're having. The same with adding new team members. Opportunities don't just present themselves. We have to sometimes go out and find them. But I mean, like Angela said, like it's not like she was just going to get that girl to join just because she maybe knew her or crossed paths with her. She had to invest some time into putting together a party, like going and being the entertainer of the party and the consultant of the party for that person to say, hey, I think I might want to do this. And in order for that to happen, she had to say, I'm going to step outside of my comfort zone and do this. And then helping your team members reaching their goals is really important too. So what skills do you have or will you need to develop to be more effective? And sometimes that looks like trainings or becoming more efficient in what you're doing. And I think that that's really important, because you aren't just going to get where you're trying to go because you want to get there. Like, I mean, I've done it, but I also, I didn't create a straight and narrow path. My path was curvy. I had to change things. I had to find out the hard way some things. I had parties that nobody showed up to. I had, events that I left early that I then regretted because that was a bad choice and it looked bad. And I had events that I stayed at that were really awful. And, there's lots of different scenarios in which you have to grow through those. It's kind of like when you're trying to find like your soulmate, like sometimes you have to go through some rotten tomatoes to get to the right one. Sometimes that's just the way that it works. And so it's kind of like that in the sense that every single thing that we ever want to be great at in our lives, we don't get to be great at them without having some kind of struggle. Like you can look at every single person in the Scentsy world and think that they just have had it easy, but every single person has their own thing, and every single person has to work through those things and those difficulties. And so I want you to remember that. But when we're talking about, and this isn't an extended version of this action plan. This is just teaching you that these are the steps that you're going to take in order to get there. And you're going to find that action plan in your workstation. And if we remember, we'll share the link to it as well in our events or on our pages. But if you need help, you need to ask. So, oh, look at that. I actually put in some examples. So here's an example. So based on promoting to superstar consultant with no directors underneath of you, you want to enter 4 party orders each month. I'll invite 5 people each week to book a party using the Booking Blitz guide from the training section of my workstation. To enroll 2 new team members each month, I'll initiate 10 conversations about the Scentsy business opportunity each week. I'll prepare for people saying no, and I'll know how to respond accordingly by developing my communication skills. I'll discuss the party flipping option with each of my party hosts and share the opportunity with all party guests. To help my team members promote to certified, I'll conduct coaching calls with them each week during their first 3 months. I'll ask my sponsors for ideas on how to effectively motivate my team. So those are all steps. Those are all things that you can learn and work through to get you to where you want to be.
Who can tell us what on this page is a specific part of your goal? You can type it in the chat or you can talk, whichever. But which is specific? Which part of this goal is specific?
Bueller?
No one.
No one? Okay, I can
That's okay.
go ahead, Angel.
So is enrolling 2 new team members each month something specific that you want to do to promote to Superstar Consultant?
Yeah.
Yes, see? So the measurable part of that is the 10 conversations about the opportunity. So you can measure how far along you are on that based on how many of those conversations you've had.
Because you know, if you've had 7, you didn't meet your goal.
Right.
But if you've had 10, then you might.
And you never know if that 8th person was your
Right.
next director rock star. You never know.
You better ask that 8th person.
You better ask them. Okay, so what do we have next?
Okay. Okay, so this is
Yeah,
a
okay,
question.
I thought that was it.
But what I wanted to share is that Angela and I both offer coaching calls. And so a coaching call is helping you walk through some of the things that you're struggling with. And I'm not going to sit here and tell you it's going to be a super easy conversation, because coaching isn't for super easy conversations. It's for having conversations about where you're going to go. So, sorry. So, but we are here to help you. And we don't want you to feel alone or like you don't have anywhere to go. So if Angela's your SSD, or if I'm your SSD, then we want you to come to us and say, hey, I would really like to have a coaching call. I don't know how she schedules hers, but I have a Calendly scheduler that has my availability listed on it. And I just send a link and people just sign up for the time that they want. And it just sends an email reminder to your phone. So if that's something that you feel you need help walking through the action plan, or you just need some help finding your SMART goals to get where you want to go, that's something that we absolutely 100% can do. If there are a group of you that are struggling and maybe you're going in the same direction, but you don't really know what to do, we can set up group coaching calls or whatever, but we want to make sure that our time is well spent. So if you want to do those coaching calls, make sure that you're ready, because they're not very long. They're 20 minutes or so, because we want to make sure that we're not spending so much time just in the in-between. We want to make sure that we're getting to the point. So if that's something that you're interested in, then you need to just let us know, or we can share our links or whatever, so that you have an opportunity to sign up for that. Any questions, any comments, anything, that you want us to know?
There was one more thing I wanted to talk
Oh.
about a little bit.
Okay.
Jason on a director call last month talked about a bow and arrow scenario when it came to reaching goals. And I thought it was really cool. And so I turned it into our little corny card thing, traffic, whatever. But if you're leaving to go on a road trip, do you just get in your car and drive with no direction in mind? Do you just go? No. When you are planning a road trip, you have a vision for where you want to go. So then you plan each step along the way. You plan where you're going to stop. You plan where you're going to get a hotel overnight. It's the same kind of thing in your business. You have to plan out each of your steps and tiny goals to get to your destination. So you have to have a vision of where you're going. You can't just aimlessly say, I'm going to Virginia, and just start driving with no direction whatsoever. You won't get there. You'll go everywhere but Virginia.
Mhm.
So yeah, you just have to think about where you want to go and what you have to accomplish to get there. and then we work on those things and the big thing happens.
Yeah.
So
Awesome.
that's
Any
all.
questions?
And then we will share the recording and we'll share the action plan worksheet in
Yeah.
our groups.
I'm gonna go ahead and stop the recording.